Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So we have some more good news in today's video for all Americans, especially those Social Security beneficiaries, because a key hurdle was finally cleared late last night for this bill to advance onto the House floor. They're going to vote on the bill to raise the debt ceiling tonight around 8:30 p.m. in the House. And yes, it is expected to pass the House, and at that point, it will reach the Senate. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer threw his support behind the bill, so a lot of Democrats are probably going to get behind it in the Senate, which should allow for it to pass. However, he says that this bill could potentially get pushed back to the very last minute, and they may not even be able to vote on this bill in time, which could still cause a default. So that is kind of the alarming news that we also have in today's video. But before I go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so again, late last night, they did finally clear the House Rules Committee vote. They had 7 Republicans out of the 9 vote for it. All 4 Democrats voted against it, and then we also had 2 Republicans vote against it as well. So they voted in favor of the bill 7-6, which since it now passed the House Rules Committee, it can now go to the House floor for a final vote where they just need a majority vote. So they need at least 218 yes votes for this thing to clear the House, which they should have more than enough votes to get this to pass. Now, a lot of Democrats are coming out against the bill. A lot of Republicans are also coming out against the bill, but they have enough support there in the middle, those moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans, to get this thing past the finish line. Now, a lot of Republicans, since they are against this bill, they think that Kevin McCarthy could have gotten a lot more spending cuts. They think that he was weak in those negotiations with Biden. They're not very happy with him, so they actually want to remove him from his House Speaker role, not even halfway into his first year as the House Speaker. So a lot of Republicans are coming out and saying that they want to hold a vote to have him removed from his speakership role, and then I guess they would vote someone into that role. Not really sure who that would be, but those are the threats going on right now, and I'm not even really sure if they would have enough votes to remove him from his speakership role. But according to CNBC, debt ceiling bill clears key hurdle, teeing up final House vote before it goes to Senate. So the compromise bill to raise the debt ceiling passed its first major test Tuesday night in the House Rules Committee, where it advanced to the House floor in a 7-6 vote, with 2 of the panel's 9 Republicans opposing it. A floor vote on the Fiscal Responsibility Act is planned for around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, according to a tentative House voting schedule. The bill still needs to pass the full GOP majority House and the Democratic-controlled Senate before Monday, when the Treasury Department projects the United States would be unlikely to have enough money to meet its debt obligations. On Tuesday, a block of more than 20 conservative Republicans announced they would oppose the compromise deal. They accused McCarthy of caving in to the White House in exchange for, quote, cosmetic policy tweaks and not the transformative change they were promised. Quote, Speaker McCarthy should pull this bad bill down. We should stop taking this bill up right now, GOP Representative Chip Roy of Texas, a member of the Rules Committee, said at a news conference. And no matter what happens, there's going to be a reckoning about what just occurred. Bishop told reporters that no one in the Republican conference could have done a worse job negotiating the agreement than what McCarthy did. Roy and Bishop weren't the only far-right conservatives who implicitly threatened to unseat McCarthy as House Speaker if the debt limit bill is passed, but whether they follow through on the threats remains to be seen. Under new rules this year, a single Republican lawmaker can bring a no-confidence vote on McCarthy to the floor. So these threats are very real. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy may no longer have that title within the next month or so if they follow through with this and they can get enough Republican votes, which probably really isn't all that likely. But according to The Hill, Matt Gaetz said that passing debt deal without Republican majority would likely trigger an immediate motion to oust McCarthy. So Representative Matt Gaetz said on Tuesday that passing a debt deal without a Republican majority in the House would trigger an immediate motion to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy. He said, quote, if a majority of Republicans are against a piece of legislation and you use Democrats to pass it, that would immediately be a black letter violation of the deal we had with McCarthy to allow his ascent to the speakership, and it would likely trigger an immediate motion to vacate. So here we have Matt Gaetz here saying that it's likely that they could be holding a vote to remove House Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his role. Whether or not they actually do it, we'll just have to wait and see, and whether or not they'll actually have the votes to finally remove him, we'll also have to wait and see as well. Who knows who the next House Speaker would be? This has actually never happened before, so, it's kind of in unfamiliar territory. Once again, definitely a rocky start of the Congress year, but likely they are going to have enough votes to get this thing passed to the House. We're going to have enough Democrats and Republicans in the middle to get it to pass, even though there are going to be a lot of Democrats and Republicans opposed to it. Now, once it reaches the Senate, more than likely they're going to have enough votes as well. Right now, the Democrats do control the Senate with 51 seats compared to the Republicans' 49 seats. And yesterday, the Senate Majority Leader and Chuck Schumer threw his full support behind the bill, which means that more than likely they're going to get the majority of the Democrats in the Senate to vote for the bill. And even though we're going to have a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans probably vote against the bill in the Senate as well, it's likely they're going to have at least 60 votes, especially with the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader both supporting the bill. They're likely to gain enough support from their closest allies. So actually, the Senate Majority Leader sent out a tweet yesterday saying that President Biden and Speaker McCarthy's agreement will protect the economy and eliminate the threat of a catastrophic default. I support this bipartisan agreement. Nobody's getting all they want, but it takes default off the table and protects key investments we've made. So it's obvious there by his tweet that he supports the bill, and because he supports the bill, other Democrats in the Senate are also going to support his bill. They're just pretty much going to follow in line with him. However, he also followed up by saying that even though it's likely they're going to have enough votes, there are actually some more conservative Republicans who are going to drag this out to the very last second, and it's actually very possible that we may not be able to pass this bill by the June 5th deadline set out by the Treasury Secretary and Janet Yellen. So, according to The Hill, Schumer warns debt limit debate may stretch right up to June 5th deadline. So Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is warning Senate Democratic colleagues to prepare to stay in session right up until the June 5th deadline to pass a debt limit deal because conservatives are threatening to drag out the debate and votes for as long as possible. In a letter, Schumer wrote, "When the bill passes the House, I will move immediately to begin considerations of the agreement in the Senate due to the time it may take to process the legislation in the Senate without cooperation. Senators should prepare for potential Friday and weekend votes." The expected legislation is expected to pass with large bipartisan majorities in both chambers, though conservatives and liberals alike are threatening to vote against it. While Schumer says he will try to pass it through the Senate as quickly as possible, Senator Mike Lee warned last week that he would use every procedural tool available to delay the bill, which is coming under fire from conservative critics for not doing enough to reduce the deficit. Senator Lindsey Graham, an ally of former President Trump, tweeted Sunday that he had more questions than answers about the proposed debt limit deal, signaling that other Republicans may join Lee in slowing down Senate consideration of the bill. Senate aides say that Lee and other conservatives who oppose the package could stretch out the floor debate to 6 or 7 days. That means if Schumer acts Thursday to file a motion to end debate on proceeding to the legislation, it could take until Wednesday or Thursday of the following week to get it to Biden's desk, a few days after deadline set by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Schumer reminded his colleagues again of the looming deadline. So again, June 5th, that deadline is going to be next Monday. If they can drag this out until Wednesday or Thursday of next week, that means that for the first time in our nation's history, if June 5th is going to be the date in which we can no longer pay all of our debts, for the first time in our nation's history, we are going to default. So let's hope that by Monday, but by before Monday, they can get this thing passed so we don't default on our debts. It's going to cause a lot of economic pain, something that we definitely do not want to endure, and we definitely don't want to put at risk the delay of Social Security payments. But that's all the news that I have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.